So your significant other's in the military. What kind of things can you expect during a deployment? Deployments and training exercises are part of military life. These are extended periods of time where you are away from your family, you're away from your home duty station, and you're either conducting training or working a mission. In my career, I've deployed 3 times for 6 months each. All 3 times I was married, and 2 out of those 3 times I had kids. First thing you can expect is inconsistent communications. Sometimes we deploy to austere environments or environments that don't have reliable internet connections, so it can be really difficult to communicate. And sometimes there are certain conditions where we are not allowed to communicate. This is due to operational security. We can't talk about certain things that are happening or that are going to happen. We can't talk about casualties and stuff until people are notified in the proper ways. So if your service member hasn't reached out to you in a couple of days or even a couple of weeks, it may be due to these conditions. Another frustrating aspect of deployments and training exercises is dates changing. You may be expecting your spouse to leave or return home from a deployment at a certain time or date, and there's any number of things, world events, word getting out about that time and date, a ship breaking down, flights getting changed. All these things can lead to the date getting shifted one direction or the other. There are a lot of logistics that go into moving hundreds of people from one side of the planet to the other. It can be very frustrating, but just be patient and trust the process. They'll get home. Something I want you to keep in mind is that while your spouse or significant other is deployed, they are in a very different mindset than when they're home. Because rather than working their hours, coming home and being a family person and enjoying their hobbies and going out to restaurants and movies, they're probably working a lot more. And when they get off of work, if they have that, they're probably on guard duty, or they're probably exercising, or they're probably resting because they have long shifts. Before y'all go crazy in the comments, I know that not every deployment is go, 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 high up tempo combat scenarios. Sometimes it is just you go to work, you come back to your dorm or barracks or tent or whatever, and then you go back to work. I understand that. But nevertheless, most of the time when you're deployed, it's a much more stressful environment and more high operational tempo than when you're back in the United States. This can't be just immediately switched when you come back from deployment. It takes some time to adjust back to garrison lifestyle. And in my experience, the closer you are to danger during a deployment, the harder it is to switch back to your normal mindset and your normal way of living when you get back. And whether you have kids or not, when your spouse deploys, you adjust your life to that new schedule. There's a difference in how much you have to take care of. So much more of the burden of everything is on you now. You have to rebuild a life as essentially a single parent. So when your spouse comes home, you have to work on rebuilding them back into that schedule, back into those routines. It takes time. Be patient with them. Help them learn what works for you and what doesn't, what's working for the kids and what isn't. Are you a military spouse or in the military? Please share your stories and other considerations and tips that you might have down in the comments so that we can learn and grow from each other as a community.